Resolve got started in a dressing room of Carnegie Hall, actually. Composer Frank Ticheli was there. And backstage, I asked him about a composition he wrote in response to the Columbine shooting 20 years ago. And I asked him, if you had never written that piece and you had to write a piece today about gun violence, how would it sound different? And he thought only briefly and said I could never write it. And that's because what's transpired in the last 20 years is so horrific that he just felt that that would not be his voice. Another composer was in the room. Clint Needham was there, and he had been composing some works that dealt with the factors that were making these types of situations continue to happen. 2 days later, after that conversation, was the shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. So as a result, all of those forces came together and Resolve was born. When the composer, Clint Needham, started to see this piece he was doing as a ballet, he realized that what was striking him the most was the leaders that came forward out of the Parkland shooting were high school students, were among the victims of the atrocities, and he thought that his work would be better represented by student artists as well, students taking leadership in an artistic way to make a statement about this whole subject. Once Clint Needham decided that high school students would be the ones to represent his piece, he decided that Interlochen would be the school he'd like to work with.
The first movement was about the students just going to school. The three soloists were seen as the school shooters, and then the whole second movement was us remembering what happened to us wanting to tell our stories to each other, and then the third movement is us wanting to tell our stories to the world and actually making something happen about it, which is why we sit in the band at the very beginning, because it's hey, get involved, listen to what we're saying.
No one musician or musical organization calls Carnegie Hall home. It's a concert hall for the world's greatest musicians that come to Carnegie Hall and each take a little piece away. I wanted the students to understand that Carnegie Hall was their hall, that they didn't have to play differently, that they didn't have to be more than themselves because who they were was what Carnegie Hall wanted. And they just played beautifully, relaxed, and just vibrantly expressive.
I really enjoyed the collaboration that this tour gave us. It's not often that I get to work with a dancer and then with members of the Cleveland Orchestra. It was an opportunity that I won't forget, and that was really valuable.
Someone was saying to me oh, you gotta go get a I Love New York sweater, and I was like, oh, I already made the memory I needed here. Having the time of our lives, and that was the best moment for me.
The support and seeking out other artists and working with them is really nice.
Because of a trip like this, it always reminds me that coming to Interlochen was a great decision that I did in my life, and because of a trip like this that they planned, it just really, I think I'm even more motivated every day.
Inspiration comes from new experiences. And so touring is so important because it gives new experiences, new audiences, new locations that students haven't experienced, and that's how we know for the fact we can inspire students, whether it's in the classroom or out on the road. And so after Resolve and seeing the looks on their faces after performing in Carnegie Hall, I can guarantee that we have inspired artists into the future.